Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-Commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Miss Julie Cole, co-founder of Mabel's Labels, up in the great white north of Toronto, Canada. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Quite an intro here in the Great North, and I'm not in an igloo at the moment.
Yes. Has spring sprung for you yet?
Yeah, just finally, just now.
Nice.
It went extreme. It was kind of cold, and then it just went super hot. I don't know where spring is, but whatever. Here we are.
You'll take it. You're like,
I'll
take
take
it. When it goes
Yeah.
warm, I'll take it. And you are much like me, you are an international traveler and liver. You went to New York University, then you went to University of Western Australia, then you're a lawyer by trade and background and training. You practiced in Melbourne back in 2001, and then you came back to Canada. So you are an international globetrotter at this stage.
Something like that. Yeah, I feel that was the living far and wide for a long time. Now I'm just doing a lot of traveling, like speaking at conferences and going here and there. But we're very much like where we are now. We have 6 kids. So there's not a lot of moving around once everybody's in school and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but you also said off air that one daughter's now in Australia, living in Australia. We never know where those 6 kids are going to end up, right?
You never do. And that's why I say I've got heirs and spares. I've got lots of people to visit in all the places. One's off tree planting in British Columbia right now. I've got 5 in college, so they're getting older. The youngest is still in high school, but these healthy birds are leaving the nest finally.
Yeah, my mom, there's only 2 of us, myself and my sister's 3.5 years younger than me. And certainly, I think the empty nest syndrome is a thing. And certainly when you live halfway around the world from where your mother is, my mother lives in Brisbane, Australia now, and I'm here in Mexico. And the empty nest syndrome is definitely a thing. But I think my mom got used to the idea of having her life back pretty quickly once my sister and I were out of the house.
It is actually shockingly remarkable how quickly you do get used to it. And I tell this to parents all the time because the kids leave and they're all crying at the college drop off. And I'm like, you wait, when they come back, you're gonna be like, darn it.
Yeah. You'll be like they'll all come back for Christmas. And then
Yeah.
when Christmas is done and they all go back out again, you'll be like, that was awesome. But it's also awesome to not have them living in my house anymore.
Honestly, I felt that big time this Christmas because a whole bunch of them came home, and then there were girlfriends and assorted hanger-oners and friends who live internationally and nowhere to go. So you become that house too when you have a big family. And it was hilarious because when all of them were going back, I suddenly remembered something my grandmother used to say to us, and it all just made sense to me. And she used to say, "It's good to see you come and it's good to see you go."
I know.
And I was like, that's so true. You love seeing them arrive, but you also like to see, don't hang yourself at the door on the way out.
And that leads nicely into the conversation about Mabel's Labels. You've been doing this for over 20 years now with Mabel's Labels. Did the fact that you had a family of 6 kids, did that play a part in deciding the business you wanted to start?
Yeah, a few things factored in really. Certainly having a lot of kids made me realize that there was a product that parents need and is not out in the marketplace. And so at the time, I was discussing this product it was my sister and then 2 of our friends from college. So there was a co-founder group of 4 of us. And actually, our 2 friends from college married my brother and my young uncle. So friends and family in the end. So we've been talking about how we're using masking tape and permanent mark and our kids' stuff is getting lost and there's nothing durable and yada, yada, yada. So we were talking about that. That was going on. And then for me, I had 3 kids at that point, and my eldest child had just turned 3 and was diagnosed with autism. And all of the research that I did really showed me that if I really want to have empty nest syndrome one day and get this kid out of my house, I got to get all of my ducks in line now. So I wanted to set up a really great program for him. I wanted to be able to advocate, get him to all the things he needed. And I didn't think the traditional workforce would suit that any longer. So The four of us sat down and said, okay, we've had this really good idea. Julie wants to do a shift. And a few others were like, I wouldn't mind leaving corporate too, right? So we just launched then, like good, like mom entrepreneurs do, and had a good idea. And 23 years ago, that was that. And everybody's growing up, and the business has been wildly successful. And it's a family favorite and a loved brand. So it's been a wild ride.
And you call yourself is the Mabel's Labels is the OG of durable name labels, the original waterproof name label for kids, dishwasher safe, laundry safe, 100% satisfaction guaranteed, free standard shipping. Like, why labels in particular? Was it kind of,
Right.
hey, I like, okay, I got 6 backpacks. I got
Right.
like, I need to be able to have my kids' stuff labeled not only in my own house, but when they go off to school and everything else, I need them to know what their stuff is, and I need to be able to identify it myself also. And if I have this challenge and I have this problem, then probably many other parents out there have the same problem. And I can't find anything out there that suits my needs. So that feels like a gap we can fill.
That's exactly it. And I'll tell you the other thing with parents too, especially with our demographic of parents. One thing we had going for us was we were our demographic of parents. We know the products we like. We know that we spend a lot on our kids' belongings. So, really, buying beautiful, durable, personalized labels was like a cheap insurance policy for parents. So, that's how that all came about. Now, what was a delightful surprise for us was that sometimes when you bring something new to market, you have to educate the market that they need the product, right? But for us, it didn't seem to happen that way. As soon as the product was out there in the wild and parents are at daycare and they'd see it on a kid's bottle and be like, what is this? I need this product. So it was understood very quickly. There was little education that had to happen. But I'm sure you can appreciate from an e-commerce perspective, this was 23 years ago. So this was like before social media, before podcasts, before anything. And here we were starting a personalized brand that was e-commerce. And honestly, there was not a nerd amongst us. I was a lawyer. My sister's a teacher. We had a graphics person, a bank financial planner gal. And we're like, okay, we're coming up with an e-commerce brand where parents can go online, and they were still a little bit nervous back in those days about putting the Visa card into the computer machine. And we launched this e commerce business before it was like we were kind of early. And for those of us who had no experience, it was pretty gutsy, really. But I'll tell you what we did have. We had lots of really good nerdy friends. And one of the things I think we did really well as entrepreneurs was really connecting with and using our networks and being like, hey, we're trying to do this, or hey, can I pick your brain? We really live by there is no stupid question. And I'm going to tell you the story just because it's a funny origin story for an e commerce business. We wanted to start this e commerce brand. We had no money. We're working out of my sister's basement. So we say to our friends, Kevin and Evan, who were very good computer sci guys, we're like, hey, we need a website. We need you guys to do this. Can you do it? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. We're like, excellent. The only problem is we don't have any money. And they said, okay, but you know what you do have? I saw a foosball table in the basement. If you guys give us that foosball table, we'll do it. And we said, okay, so this big e commerce business is built on the back of a foosball table.
Wow, what an origin story. And how, because this is pre social media, this is pre Pinterest, this is
Yeah.
pre, uh, this is pre creator economy stuff. How did you start to build community around your brand when all the community building tools of today didn't yet exist?
I know. It's a great question. So, fortunately, within that market of moms, we know that moms talk, right? It's the old she told two friends and she told two friends. So we did create something that was a little bit buzzworthy. It got moms talking at the side of the soccer field at the day camp drop off. So they were telling their friends. And if you went to our like, how did you hear back in the early day? It was always my next door neighbor, my sister, my cousin, so they were spreading the word quite organically at that time. We couldn't afford things like an ad in Today's Parent or a parenting magazine. So it just was that very organic word of mouth. We did get a couple of nice PR hits where there was a back to school article and they were talking about 5 great brands for back to school and somehow mentioned us. There was an early e-newsletter that used to go out called Daily Candy, and it was full of like little tips about cool things. And once a week they would do Daily Candy Kids. And somebody had submitted us to Daily Candy Kids. We had no idea, but we did that thing where, oh, let's check today's orders. And we're like, and it's saying, how did you hear? Daily Candy Kids, Daily Candy Kids. We're like, what is Daily Candy Kids? So we had those couple of nice little hits. And we would see that when we had a hit like that, we would have a sales spike. And then it would out a little bit, but then 2 weeks later, we'd get another spike because we'd see all our labels were out back in the wild. People were seeing them again. And then that came our word of mouth spike. But I will say, once social media hit, we were very early adopters. We were reaching out to those mom bloggers. I'm a mom blogger. I was blogging not about labels, right? It was about
Mom life.
connecting. Yeah. Like I'm blogging about diaper blowouts and pushing a triple stroller around and trying to get through the day without smelling like baby vomit while also trying to do this business. So just being that relatable mom, because moms do want community. So in those early days, a lot of that looked IRL or looked word of mouth. And then certainly like within a minute, I've been going to the Mom 2.0 mom blogging influencer conference for 18 years. So we were
Wow.
very early adopters and collaborations. And we know moms want community and they want to feel connected to the people they buy from. So we really played that. And that's also like a lot of fun, right? So we started our moms back then, it was all Facebook, right? So within a minute, we had 250,000 Facebook fans and they were always engaged with us. And I was posting on our weekly blog about my adventures. And then it just, you go where your customer is. So now it's evolved and they want to see us on Instagram and TikTok and those places. So that's where we meet the next generation of moms. But some of our OG moms who are now buying for their seniors. So we've evolved and now have senior living labels because they've stayed with us the whole time.
Wow.
They'll still be on the Facebook, but you still go to all the places. We're like Reddit. We're everywhere, man. We're anywhere our moms are.
And any future plans to add pet labels or to sell your product as pet ready? Because I can certainly tell you, as a couple who do not have kids, and we have no plans to have kids,
Yeah.
but we're dog parents and we're pretty militant dog parents. We love our dogs very much. And my wife is an incredible dog mom. And I
Yeah.
feel like
Aw.
that's an untapped opportunity, especially in a world where birth rates are dropping so fast everywhere in the world. I just saw an article out of New Zealand that there were 1,500, I think it was 1,500 fewer births in 25 versus 20, and they're forecasting it to continue to drop by several percent per year for the foreseeable. So it feels like dog parentage is becoming a big deal now.
You are 100% right. And I will tell you that we do have pet labels and we just launched a whole series of like beautiful icons. Like we've got like a Labrador, we've got a Corgi, and we've got cats as well. We've got about 6 different kinds of cats and our artwork is gorgeous. And you're right. And collaborating and partnering with like pet parent companies and pet parents are taking their doggies to daycare. They are doing adventures with them. They have stuff. And I always say the pet parents, they treat their pets better than I treat my kids.
Yeah.
Like they care, right?
Yeah.
And I personally didn't realize this, but eventually, like my kids really wanted a dog, whatever. And I'm like, no, there's too many of you. I'm not getting a dog. So eventually they did wear us down. And it was when the baby was turning 4. And I was like, you know what? We probably have the capacity for this now because we'll get a dog now when the baby's 4. When he goes off to college, the dog will die. And we have one family pet. And the kids had done a really good job. If they want something, they have to pitch us. So they'd put together a PowerPoint with a schedule. Anyway, so we got this dog, Aussie. And having never had a pet, I didn't know I was going to really love this thing. Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was one of those terrible people. If I heard somebody's dog died, I was like, what's the big deal? Just get another one. That was me before.
Okay.
Now I get it.
Yes.
Now I get it. And I had to apologize to friends from high school for being so nonchalant about their dogs dying. Because if this dog dies, my kids are all in therapy. Like
Yep.
they are obsessed with this dog. So you're absolutely right. Pet parents out there, they are very invested. They have money. They
Yes.
want the best. And yeah, it's a great
Especially
market.
dinks with
100%.
dink wads. It's a thing.
Yep.
There's whole
Absolutely.
dinkwad groups on Instagram.
Oh, maybe I should get onto those then. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
connect with you
Dual
after about
income,
getting,
no
yeah, yeah.
kids, wad
Yeah.
with a dog. Dink
What
wad.
is with a dog?
Dinks with a dog. Dink
Making a
wad.
note. You just got me a new market.
Yeah,
Thank
there you go.
you.
So
Yeah.
see, with the changing demographics and the changing times, just massive new opportunities for you guys.
And honestly, like there have been so many collaborations. So one of the things is schools all want Mabel's labels. Camps want Mabel's labels. Cheer teams, hockey teams, lacrosse, they all want Mabel's labels. So we many years ago set up a really clever fundraising program. So what it is, we give for e-commerce, right? So we give so say it's like Camp Panaka. So they can either go to the drop down on our website, or we'll give them mabelslabels.com/Panaka. So they give this to all their parents. They push it out, and then their parents buy the labels online from that website. They pay us. We deliver it. The camp doesn't touch it. They get a kickback of 20%, and all the stuff comes labeled. So this has been brilliant for us because it's so low touch. It's totally green, right? Yes. You don't have kids going around collecting money, and they're not buying like sweets. Like the schools and stuff are off all that like sugary kind of fundraising stuff. So it's something that the parents want, the schools and club administrators want, and we want. So it's like this perfect symbiotic relationship that is so easy. So that's been those kind of collaborations. 100%.
It's just epic for them and for you. Are you doing anything else from a wholesale perspective? Meaning, hey, we've got these retailers that want to carry these products. We've got other label companies that maybe they have historically focused on business labels, but now they want personal labels to add to their catalog. Like, what, from a B2B perspective, other than the drop ship sort of rev share model, have you guys explored that? Are you doing that? Is it of interest to you?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So we are really B2C, but over the years, we've done some interesting things. We did create a product that could go into retail at one point, and it was a label that you would write the child's name, and then it would put a plastic overlay. And we did get in Target and Walmart. We did all of that. It wasn't really our sweet spot. We did fine, but we wanted to really focus on what it is we do, which is e-commerce. And you can get distracted by shiny objects, right?
Totally.
And I tell people this all the time, the ADOS, attention deficit, ooh, shiny. And there was enough room left in our market that going elsewhere felt like it was pulling away from our resources and pulling away from what we really do. However, so we're not doing retail anymore. We do just e-commerce. Of course, we've had to do the Amazon thing. I'll tell you an interesting pivot we do. Oh, wait, before I do that, I will tell you that in our downtime, we want our machines running all the time, right? So sometimes we'll get a custom order from who knows where. We'll say, we've got partnerships with some daycares who want their logos on all of their labels or some certain things. So we do some of like that. We'll do some custom jobs because we have the capacity to make anything. We just make our labels, but we can actually make anything. So sometimes in the quieter times, we will do some custom jobs. But I was really happy with our company when COVID hit. So that was a tough time because as like camps didn't happen. My stupid kids didn't go to summer camps.
Kids weren't going to school even.
They didn't go. Oh, the shit show that was going on in my house with two of them sent home from college. They're all here studying from home. I just said to the teachers, I'm like, look, they're not doing, phys ed is them just swimming together in the pool. We are not doing whatever. Okay. But so labels, we lost our camp season. We lost our back to school season. This was like, what are we going to do? But we have a very innovative culture. And because we're very innovative and because we give people we really focus on their productivity, not their presenteeism. We don't care if you come to the office, if it works for you, if it works for the company, if everything's getting done, we're happy, right? As a result, everybody's really entrepreneurial, which is a very cool culture to be in. And they stick around. Nobody quits because it's like fun. So during COVID, right away, this team at our office put themselves together called Team Now. And they were like, okay, what are we going to do? We're not going to be selling labels. And they put together this, and it was amazing. They're like, we can make stickers, all of those round things that said stand 6 feet apart.
Oh, yeah.
We made a shitload of those. Those all went out like those. So it was like,
Wow.
boom, make those available. And then we got to lean into our brand promise. So we're a well loved brand. Our brand promise is like, if you don't like our labels or if they're not like 100% guarantee always. And people love our brand. Our stuff is very beautiful, very unique. So we partnered with a local material company and we got them making masks, but with our designs. And then we sold them on our website. And they did very well because we had worked so hard on creating a brand that was trusted. So
Yes.
when you create, we are fierce about protecting our brand. And when you do that, and then we'll transfer to other things. So people trusted that our masks would be great. And of course they were, because again, we're obsessed with our customers. So we were able to do a bunch of like little shifts with our product range during a time where we thought this is where we go bankrupt, right? And then interestingly, a really nice surprise that happened that we did not expect was we got a double cohort the next year. Like we
Wow.
thought we, yeah, like we thought we would have just missed out, but and lost a year. But then it was like, this is interesting. And we ended up getting a double cohort year. So we ended up doing okay. We ended up doing okay. And we weren't closed down because we're labels we fit into. You have to make labels for medicines and for
Yes.
food and things like
Totally.
that.
Your
So
essential services.
we were an essential service. So we had a little loophole there, which was great. So everybody got to keep working and we just had to pivot. But that was a time where we were doing more sort of B2C kind of things, like with the round labels for the floors and stuff like that. But by and large, we're very e-commerce B2C.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that instead of throwing in the towel and saying, "Well,
Yeah.
we'll come back when the kids go back to school, and we'll just have to hunker down, and we'll have to gut our costs, and we'll minimize our operating complexity, and we'll just." I love the fact that in true entrepreneurial fashion, you went, "We've got idle equipment. We got stuff we can make almost anything with. What's in demand now?" And you're right, the little footprint stickers that went on the floor
Yeah.
at supermarkets, the labels that went up on the plexiglass protectors and
Yeah.
banks and every other thing. There was freaking COVID BS stickers freaking everywhere. Like, they
Yeah.
were
We had to
everywhere.
like dentists were ordering from us. We even did this shield thing that
Yes.
food workers and dentists and yeah, it was wild what we put together. And the thing that really made me proud was it was the team. They were like, "Hey, we can do this." And I'm like, that is the kind of culture. This is the beauty. When you start a company, you can create the culture that you
You
want
want.
and you hire the people who fit with your core values and are the same sort of spirit and man, it's magic.
Wow. And you are not just selling into Canada, you're selling into all of North America, globally. Like, where are your target markets?
Yeah, it's obviously an e-commerce brand, so anybody can buy from anywhere, but most of our customers are Canada, USA, probably about 50-50. We also have a production facility in Brea, California,
Oh,
so that we can get our West Coast folks. This is the thing. People order their labels and they want them now. Like the mom,
yes.
"Oh, my kid's going to summer camp tomorrow. I'm late. Help me out." So we do have a 24-hour turnaround. They're out the door within 24 hours of ordering.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. Amazing. And how big is your team now? Is it
Yeah.
the four founders plus a small production staff? Is it 100 people? Like,
It's
how?
about 70. It's about
Wow.
70. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
And
it's about
that's across
70.
marketing, production. Oh, okay.
Finance, yeah, everyone. And our main headquarters is near Toronto, and then, of course, our Brea one. Yeah, so I'm the only founder left still working.
Wow.
Everybody's moved on to other things, and we went through an acquisition, but it's still very much labels, and it's still that's why we were okay with it. And yeah, it's just been great. But everybody, one's doing some coaching, one's I'm retired, one everybody does their own thing. But I love it. I'm still there, and I'm not going anywhere as long as I'm having fun.
Wow, that's amazing. And when you so are you employed by the acquirer, or are you still a shareholder in the company? How's that work?
Right. Okay, so exits are a whole thing. That could be a
Oh, yeah.
whole I've spoken on many podcasts about how exits can and should work and missteps that people make. And so ours was it was a full buyout. So I have no shares. Part of the deal was that, we want to make us sure it's a smooth transition. So I was to stay on for a year. After the year, I'm like, I'm still having fun. They're like, we still love you. And they weren't idiots. They didn't move Mabel's Labels. They didn't get rid of the team. They're just like, we're buying you because you guys are onto something. Mabel's
Yes.
Labels has created something super special, and we would be idiots to come in there and try to make it something else. For us, it's been nice because we actually have access to some resources and expertise that we would have been paying a fortune for before. So it's worked out really well. And they really just let us do our thing. Of course, we report back and give them our annual operating plan and that sort of thing. But it's been great. It's been great. And
Wow.
yeah, so after that year, I was just like, I'm loving it. They're loving it. So they're like, okay, do you want to just like be our senior director of public relations? And I'm like, yes, I do. And basically, honestly, this job is being the face of Mabel's Labels, getting out there, meeting people, connecting with moms, talking to people like you. It's like speaking at conferences. I do a lot of media, a lot of TV stuff, and a lot of speaking about parenting, a lot of speaking about women in business and that university, college lectures. And that's exactly the stuff I love. So it's a pretty good gig.
When did that transition take place?
You know what? It's a long time ago now. I was just thinking about this. It's got to be like 10 years because I think we were
Wow.
about 13 or 14 when we went through it. And if we're 23 now, it's been a while. Yeah.
Wow. And so the other co-founders, they got their payout and they
Yeah.
decided, look, we want to go do something else.
Yeah. One stuck around for a bit as general manager. And then I think around COVID, she was like, I'm out. And she just took an 8-month trip around Europe. And
That's
yeah.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. And how, because I've run my own e-commerce pure play myself. That's actually how I got started in e-commerce. And I run my own consultancy now in the e-commerce space. I tell you, it's kind of like kids in a way. It feels like a kid. It feels like another kid in the sense that I don't have kids, but I imagine that the emotional attachment to a business, especially one that's been built on the back of blood, sweat, and tears and lots of hard work, it definitely there is something about our identity that is maybe our whole identity isn't our business, but it certainly informs our identity and it forms part of our identity. So was that an emotionally was that difficult when you're like, okay, this isn't
It's a really
my
good
company
question.
anymore,
Yeah. Because that is
but
a
I
huge
still
problem.
have a vested interest in how it goes and that it continues to succeed and that it continues to support the people that work there and making sure that there's a good culture fit with the acquirer and all that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how did that impact your identity, if at all?
So for me, it didn't. And I don't know whether it's because I'm still there and I'm still the co-founder and it's just it doesn't, but I see it with it's a great question because I see it with founders all the time. All the time. They have a complete identity crisis. They have this paralysis because they are like, this is what I do. So it's who I am. And it's like a football player who only plays football, then they get an injury. And who am I without football? And that with entrepreneurs all the time. So I do often suggest when I talk to people who are thinking about an exit, I'm like, start building now. What are you going to do next? Maybe join a board or two. Maybe,
Yes.
get these things going now so that, and also, come on, have other interests. Don't just identify yourself by one thing. Make sure that we're more complex than that. And if you're like, sometimes I'm like, to me, that's a little bit ego. If that's the only thing you define yourself by, there are so many interesting parts to us. Make sure you're filling up those other things before suddenly there's this huge gap. And also, I think another thing that's really important if you're going through this exit and thinking about it, while you're doing that, it's also important to remember that a lot of you get left at the altar, man. People go through the whole thing and they go through due diligence and they're like, okay, here we go. It's going to close tonight. And then they're like, nope. And the big risk there is you've psyched yourself up for something that's not going to happen. You don't spend the money until it's in your bank account.
Yes.
And also, a lot of founders take their eye off the ball because the process of going through an acquisition is very cumbersome. It's very time consuming. Due diligence is a lot of work. And so, if they get left at the altar, often what they've found is their business is not worth as much because
Yes.
their sales are down because they've lost focus focusing on the acquisition. That can happen. Or they've got acquisition fatigue, and buyers do this quite deliberately and wear you down, exhaust you. So then they say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to give you 10 million for it, but I'll give you 6 million for it. And you're so exhausted,
You
you
go,
can't go through
okay.
the process. You go, okay, exactly. You're like, take it. I can't
Yes.
be stuffed. I can't. So you have to really manage that, because I do think they do that on purpose. We had a very easy exit, a very good acquisition story. It was quick. It was clean. We didn't lose anything in due diligence. We kept our house in order. So it made it fairly smooth, because due diligence is where they'll come and they'll be like, okay,
Oh,
well, we
yeah.
offered you 10, but now we're only giving you 5 because you have no contracts, you haven't paid your taxes, and whatever else you've done wrong. So
Yes.
being organized that way is always really, really important, which sometimes entrepreneurs, as you may know, can be we like starting things. Sometimes the process and finishing things isn't our forte with the ADD
Yes.
and the mental health stuff sometimes that goes along with entrepreneurship. So if you're that way inclined, make sure your first hire is somebody who's good with process and
Yes.
good with finishing up the things that you start and run away from once the fun is over.
Totally, totally could not agree more. Execution. There's the visionary and the
Yep.
EOS model and everything else. You've got the visionary, and you still have to have the execution capability within the business or amongst the co-founders or something, right? How has your tech stack evolved from those early days to today? Because I know that back then, for example, ERPs were really immature. There was no Shopify. And I think you guys are running WordPress, I think. And so, how has the technology evolved, even from a production perspective?
Oh my
Because
God.
labeling
Yeah.
technology has advanced massively to where now there's entire POD companies that do labels print on demand for many e-commerce players, and maybe that's just one part of their business, not their whole business. And so it feels, and now we've got AI, and we've got AI is, particularly for manufacturing businesses, is having a major impact on how they run their business, how they manage returns, and just many other things. There's a lot of things that AI can help us do as businesses today that even 2 years ago was really hard. And
Yeah.
how has technology changed for you over the years?
Oh, you can imagine 23 years ago to where we are now. Like, we have had so many iterations of things. We feel like and we've always been very custom because of what we do. We've never been like an off the shelf kind of program. But I can tell you, our team's amazing, but they just launched, we've got a new comms program. And man, that's hard, man. That is hard. And now we've been dealing with the glitches, and there's always that stuff. But we really need to make sure that it's all talking together, because if somebody in production needs to pull a batch and then wait, then now this has got moved over there, but everybody's kind of got to know what is happening. And at the same time, our website has to be so user friendly. And we know that people have the attention span of, if I get frustrated on a website, I'm out so fast, dude. Like, I'm gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am so gone. We're always, of course, watching, like, at what moment are they dropping off? Why? Blah, blah, blah. And we have IT team. If we have 70 people, our IT team's probably like 10 people. Oh,
Okay.
like, because they're like a lot of writing code, there's a lot going on back there. And I'm not very nerdy, but man, there is so much to do. And then, even like you say, from the AI perspective, I was actually just speaking at the Customer Excellence Summit last week. Obviously, AI is having its day, and there's a lot of great things that you can do with it. And I love it because we can get some easy wins from it and open up time for, say, our customer service folks to do some other thing like looking for sales or connecting with whatever. But at the same time, you just can't be doing any of that stuff and eroding that customer experience or that customer relationship and that trust. And that's why I think also too with AI, there's a time and a place, but we're human and we're dealing with humans, and that's why I keep turning up, because they want to see the humans. But so many wonderful tools. Claude is my right hand man.
Yes, yes. Oh, I hear you. Between Claude, Gemini,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Manus, and so much of the software that I use anyway, for even for producing the podcast and many
yeah.
other things in my business from an operational perspective, they, even if those are tools that I've used for 5 years, they now have AI capability in them. So I'm kind of getting the benefit of AI in those tools by default. And it is definitely, from a productivity perspective, I am able to do, I've 10x'd my
I know,
output with the use of AI tools. And
for
there's
sure.
still the human component, and I still have to know what to do. But,
Yes,
I think of it as I kind of have a senior analyst at my disposal every day. And so there's a lot of grunt work that I used to have to do myself that
I
now
know.
agents are doing the grunt work. They're gathering the data, they're gathering the references, they're giving me the information, and then I can weave that into the story that needs to be told for my clients, that it connects with them and makes sense for them. And so I just think from a grunt work perspective,
Oh,
it is such a time saver. It's pretty
oh,
wild.
and it just frees you up to do the things that you really need to be
Love
doing,
and love.
and love. But it is wild because I was at the Ecom North conference, I think in the fall, and which you should be going to,
Yeah,
which you should be speaking at it. Yeah,
of course.
Ecom North. Yeah, and I was meeting these young entrepreneurs and stuff, and they're showing me stuff that they've created. I'm like, dude, back in the day,
Yeah,
that took me 6 months to put together, and you
totally.
just did it this morning. What?
I know.
Like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and the stuff we used to have to use Excel or Google Sheets for, now AI can just do it. It's pretty wild. It's pretty
It
wild.
is wild. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is.
and it's very cool. It helps me. So just one small example, and I'm sure you have many of your own. Uh, when I am doing remote discovery workshops, I record those all with Read AI, and of course they pull out the transcript. And usually, what I'll have to do is after 10 or 20 of these workshops with a client, and after I'm writing the business requirements document of a project or whatever, I will have to go back historically before AI. I had to go back through and re-listen or rewatch every one of those videos to make sure that I didn't miss anything mission critical in my documentation.
Yeah.
Now with I can point the AI at the transcripts. I can say, here's my existing BRD draft. Do a gap analysis between the transcripts, those 20 transcripts, which my most recent discovery with a client resulted in 750 pages of transcripts. And so I said, look, you do the gap analysis for
Yeah.
me. You go through all those transcripts, all the key requirements that we called out in those workshops. You compare that with the BRD, and you do a gap analysis to make sure I didn't miss anything critical. Now, that's something that used to take me hours and hours and hours,
Hours.
and AI does it in about 10 minutes now. It's
Yep.
it's pretty wild. That is a very real world use case that it costs me pennies
I
for the
know.
tokens to do that work, but the time saving is wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like you said, the grunt work, doing some of the stuff that's just tedious and annoying and
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
I can get that stuff done. And yeah, you would save hours on that. Holy 750 pages. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Wild.
And I used to have to pull up those transcripts, and if I wanted to ask a question of those transcripts, oh yeah, I know I think they're using this tool for this thing.
Right.
Could you confirm whether they're actually using this tool for that thing? I used to have to do like a control F in the transcript, find like for a PIM or whatever it is. I used to have to try to find it by keyword and try to remember the keyword. But now I can actually ask the AI the question, oh, what is it that they use for this? And it'll just tell me. It's pretty wild. It's
Oh,
pretty
it
impressive.
is. Yeah, it is. It can be a beautiful thing.
But you're
Yeah.
right. I think
Yeah.
if you as a business are not thinking about what makes your business uniquely
Right.
human, or the unique human ingredients that are making your business successful, and doubling and tripling down on that and saying, look, we're not going to replace that with AI, but what we're going to do is we're going to free up our people to do more of that. And I
So,
think
yeah.
that
But
feels like a really great way forward.
so I think this is where the problem is, and this is where companies are going to lose out if they're not on top of it. Companies all have this gap. So what they're doing is they're using AI, and it will deal with the most asked questions, or the most, like, it will deal with that stuff. But then when a customer needs the most help, it doesn't deal with that. In that moment where they need a specific thing, that's where their gap is. And I think that's where do you know the Air Canada story about a customer had ended up talking with a bot or whatever and said, my auntie or my dad died and I need to get a flight. And they said, don't worry, just buy it full price and then we'll reimburse you as long as you submit it within 90 days. So he did. And then customer service was like, oh, sorry, the bot was wrong. The AI was
Oh,
wrong.
well,
We don't.
sorry, you need to. You need
Ah,
you have to back if you're going to put the bot out
right.
there, you have to back what the bot says.
Well, Air Canada said no, so it went to court. And of course, courts, sorry, everyone, companies, be aware you are responsible for everything your bots say, anything your AI says, and you will have to pay it. So of course he got paid back. But there's an example, I think, of a guy who, at the worst time, dealing with death, and the AI wasn't trained to do what it needed to do in the moments where we need the most. I think that's where you're going to find companies, if they don't set it up so it can deal, or it sends it sound like the customer somewhere, we're going to have that gap, because I think it's good for the many, but for the ones who need it the most and are the hardest to deal with at that time, it's not going to serve them. And if companies don't find that gap, that's where they're going to lose customers, and they might not even realize it.
Yeah, I think you raise a really good point, which is that anything that requires human judgment or a judgment call.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got this policy as a business,
Yeah.
but where a human is required to overrule a policy in a specific scenario where it makes sense to do, that's where humans really still need to have, because it's really difficult to teach a chatbot empathy, right? So
Right.
I think anything that requires empathy, sensitivity, human judgment, the ability to override policies and procedures and corporate decisions, I think we still need to empower humans to make the right call, even if it isn't the policy call. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Policies are guidelines. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I always think and then you think about that case, and it's like, Air Canada, if they just gave the guy the $1,400, now they look like idiots. It's a
Yeah.
PR disaster.
Yes.
They've gone to court thinking they would win. And now, yeah, it's just, yeah, a little bit of judgment is right. And this is where I feel like some of the at Mabel's Labels, where the magic was around our customer service, was that we always empowered our team to do what they needed to do to make it better. So they didn't have to come say, Julie, this customer didn't get their orders. Can I send them we got a Wismo, which is a where's my order? Can I just send them new labels? I'm like, just don't ask, just do what you got to do to make it right. And I think sometimes with AI, you don't get that. And I remember once we even had a customer who had said, their clothing label had ruined their jeans or something or whatever. So one of our customer service reps bought $100 gift card to the Gap, sent it to them and expensed it. It's great. I don't even want to hear about that.
Yeah.
But those are the things where, and you turn that around, that story goes everywhere. And it was, oh my God, I love Mabel's Labels. That, like, all of the good stuff that comes from that, you're going to miss that with AI. Leaders need to be thinking about these things.
Yeah, I think the goodwill point is a
Yeah.
real biggie that you raise, which is that generally speaking, only humans can create goodwill with humans. That's the reality, right? AI
That's it.
doesn't.
There's your mic drop right there.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I just think that's the reality, and I think for the foreseeable, it's going to be the reality. If you, let's say there's a woman out there listening to this and she's thinking, hey, look, I'm sick of the corporate grind and I'm thinking of doing my own thing. I'm going to stick it to the man and I'm going to run free out in the world of entrepreneurship. I have my own response when people tell me that. It is simultaneously, for me, entrepreneurship is simultaneously the most rewarding, most fulfilling, but equally infuriating thing you will probably ever do, one of the most stressful things you will probably ever do in your life, if you care and you want to do a good job. What is your advice to somebody who is thinking, I want to build, I want to create
Yeah.
something in the world that doesn't yet exist?
I love it. And I would say do your research, but I do feel like you need to have your eyes wide open. I feel like entrepreneurship is very romanticized, and I think it's all going to be Shark's Tank
Yeah.
and TED Talks and book deals and keynotes, and it's like making labels in a basement in non-air conditioning when you're pregnant with your fourth kid. That's really what it looks like. Not going on a holiday, like not buying that second car, like
Yeah.
not putting the kids to bed and pouring a glass of wine and watching Netflix. There's none of that happens.
Yes.
And if things go well enough and you've created something great and you're, have an appetite for risk, and also maybe a little bit of privilege,
Yeah.
because sometimes you need a bit of that with entrepreneurship,
Yes.
and then you have success, but otherwise it's a tough slog. So I think really managing your expectations and knowing what it really looks like and being realistic is a very important key piece in this era where entrepreneurship is very glamorized and romanticized.
Yeah, and I try to relate stories of even my own life. I'm a successful consultant. I'm blessed. I'm privileged. I have an amazing life. This industry has given me a life that I could have only dreamed about when I entered it 26 years ago. So I feel very lucky and privileged to be able to do what I do every day. But a week ago, my wife and I had to be on site with a client. So I took my wife with me. Neither of us had been to North Carolina before. We're going to see a client in North Carolina. We added extra days before I met with the client and after I met with the client so that we could spend some extra time there and do some sightseeing while we were there. And that's the upside of what I get to do. But then on Sunday night, I had an urgent client request that came in that needed me to stay up late on Sunday night
Yeah.
to get a deliverable out the door so that they could have it on their desk on Monday morning. So I'm up till midnight working on Sunday night. So there's this tension, right? Like
Sure.
I get the lovely bits, but I
Yeah.
also get the challenging bits. And I think if you're not ready for the challenging bits alongside the lovely bits, you're probably going to be pretty disappointed.
And people think, oh, it'll be so nice not having a boss. On Sunday night, you had a boss. It's called a client.
Yeah.
Like you have more bosses in your world now. Like
Yes.
co-founders, you have
Yes.
suppliers, you have staff, you have clients, you have customers. They're your bosses. So,
Yes.
but there's that whole thing too. And what I wanted was the flexibility, and that's what I got. So yes, I could go to the apple orchard on the school trip,
Yes.
whatever. But I was also on my laptop every night at midnight. But that was okay. That's the life I chose and I
Exactly.
wanted. So it
Exactly.
works. But it's that whole thing, like I'd rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for someone else, right?
Totally.
And
Totally.
honestly, I see it with entrepreneurs who try to go back corporate after. You're unhireable, right?
It's really hard. It's
Yeah.
really difficult. It's really
Reentry's
difficult.
tough.
Yeah, you have the most horrible boss in the world yourself, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
also it's all about choose your hard, I think, right?
Yes.
Everything's hard. Having a boss is hard. Being employed where you could get fired is hard or laid off. That's hard. Owning a business is hard. Finding clients is hard. Building a business that's sustainable is hard. I just think if you can exercise some autonomy over the hard that you pick, you will
Mm.
probably be in a better place mentally and emotionally to handle the hard, as opposed to if you feel like you're just purely a victim of circumstance. That feels harder to me than
Right.
the hardest of the hard days as an entrepreneur.
But that is you. That is a personality thing because some people who do not have an appetite for risk and crave
Yeah.
security
Yeah.
could never live the life you're leading. It could be feast or famine. And that
Yes.
is just not something a lot of people have an appetite for.
Yes. Yes. And for me, I de-risked that journey of entrepreneurship by having zero debt. So I have tried to live my life with no debt. So no car payments, no mortgage payments, nothing. When we moved to Mexico, we paid cash for this house because I didn't want. I found that by not having debt of any kind in my life, I had maximum optionality and flexibility.
Mhm.
And when I went from running and building agencies to starting my own consultancy, I had a foundational client that wanted to work with me directly, and they became my first client as a
Mhm.
consultant. And so it provided a little bit of a runway instead of just cold turkey saying, okay, I'm out of the agency game and I'm now in the
Right.
consultancy game, and giving myself, and I told my wife, look, we're going to have a 6-month financial cushion here because it's going to take a while to build a little bit of a pipeline. Now, luckily, I already had a bit of a personal brand, so it wasn't like I was a complete unknown commodity in the market, but I knew it would take a little bit of time to replace agency income with consultant income. And I said, look, we're gonna build up this cash buffer to give us a runway
Yeah.
to build that pipeline so that it's not like starting a business is stressful enough, especially if you pile money worries on top of it. So
Right.
if you can mitigate that by giving yourself a little bit of financial runway to build against, I feel you want your boat to be reasonably close to the dock. You don't have to jump off the boat and swim to the dock. You want to be able to step off the boat to the dock, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell people is try. Yes, there is burning the boats, and I think that has
Yeah.
a value in making a judgment call and making a clean jump to a new thing. But I
Yeah.
think anything you can do to give yourself an emotional and financial runway to
Yeah.
build is going to de-stress and probably make you more productive in the process.
But I think you bring up a good point too. You gotta understand the money.
Yeah.
Like at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you gotta understand the money. Or people are like, well, I'm not a money person. I'm like, you gotta then get
Figure it
somebody
out.
really good.
You didn't
You
you didn't
gotta know
always know how to
something about.
drive either, right?
That's right. Learn. I say that to people. They'll be like, I can't do that. I'm like, that's an excuse. If you're just saying I can't,
Yeah.
then it means you don't have to. But I'm like, if you're gonna figure out the money and how to budget and how to prepare for those lean times, then yeah, you're screwed. Gotta
Yeah.
know the money.
Yeah. Yeah. The money matters. No, sometimes we glamorize
Mhm.
entrepreneurship And look, I think there's been a lot of coaches who have made a lot of money on talking about the downsides of entrepreneurship too. So I think there's plenty of fear porn out there around becoming an entrepreneur. So I think there's two sides of the coin, and the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, which is it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the
Yeah.
time. It's also not 80-hour weeks forever. Unless you are doing something wrong, it
And
should
then
not be.
quit
Yeah,
and then wrap it up, move on to
exactly.
something else. Like,
Put a
yeah,
bullet in
yeah,
it and do something else,
100%.
right? You can
Yeah.
always go back to corporate if
Yeah.
it doesn't work
That's
out,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that people treat entrepreneurship as this life and death thing, and
Right.
it goes back to what you said before, which is you cannot allow who you are and the meaning and the basis and the foundation of who you are be your business. You have to see value in yourself outside of your business, and if you don't, that's a recipe for disaster because there's ups and downs in business.
And also with parenting and business, you're going to maybe work yourself out of a job, right?
Yes,
Like I should be able to get hit by a bus tomorrow and Mabel's Labels not die along with me.
yes, totally,
Based on
totally.
what I'm doing. Obviously, if you're a consultant, you're a personal brand, whatever, then you are the person who does that, right?
Yes,
But for something like this, I got to be able to get hit by a bus. And even honestly, for my kids, yeah, it would suck, but now they'll be fine.
yes,
Like,
yes, absolutely.
like it wouldn't be great, but I got them raised. They're good. So it is funny how just I do find it very similar how the kids grow up, the business grows up, and some of those changes that go along are remarkably similar.
Yeah, yeah. The phases of life, the phases
Yeah,
of parenthood for
totally.
sure.
Totally.
Um, if you could sprinkle your brand of fairy dust on the e-commerce space and change one thing about it at the snap of your fingers, what would it be?
Oh gosh. One thing about the e-commerce space in general?
Yes,
Oh my God, I don't know. What would you? Tell me what you would do.
I'll go after you.
What would I do? I don't know. I can tell you, I don't know. I'll give you, this isn't an answer to it, but I got to tell you something that I really like about our e commerce business that's worked out very well for us. Because of our business and how it is like parents order from us, they go online, they put in their kid's name, and we make it. I don't have a lot of money sitting in inventory, right? So like people actually pay before it's made. Like, of course, we've got the material and we've been able
Yes,
to see our
yes,
cycles and we know like we're going to grow whatever percent this year. So we need to hire this many more summer students and buy this much more material, whatever. Or these have two more cutting machines. But it's pretty cool when like I see all my friends who are like they've got millions in inventory. They've got lots of like shipping issues, like we've got tariffs and stuff now too, right? But ours is like a product that you make after it's been paid for. It goes in an envelope. We've been able to USPS. Like it's been a very like when we created this, we didn't think about the advantage that would be of our e-commerce business, and it's been a very happy accident.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, it would be very different if you were selling furniture and shipping
Yeah.
furniture for sure. Absolutely, no
And
question about it.
even from a perspective of how I work with like the work we do with content creators or like
Yes,
celebrities or whatever, like we can send like a lot of celebrities will gift them our labels. It doesn't cost me. It's not like sending them a bench or a table or something that's very expensive, right? It's easy to gift.
yes.
So it's easy to get people talking about it who are in like the pretty well-known content creators and mom influencers and mommy celebs.
I love it. I love it. That's so true. Operational stuff is often overlooked in e-commerce. Now, I will drop a link to your LinkedIn profile and
Okay.
Mabel's Labels in the show notes. Other than that, how do you like people to reach out to you if they want you to speak at their conference or they want to chat to you about all things e-commerce? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me if you go to mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. That's where a lot of my information is. You can order my book there. You can see where I'm going, what I'm doing, that sort of thing. Obviously, I love LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, all the usual places.
I love it. I love it. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, now is where I
Mhm.
get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It can be personal or professional. So, Julie Cole, or
Oh,
maybe Mabel's Labels, what is your question for me today?
okay. I would have a lot, but I'm now really curious about that question you asked me about if you could change one thing. So I want you to tell me that. Although I feel like now I have to have you on one of my LinkedIn lives so I can ask you all the questions. But
100%. We'll
tell
do
me
it.
that one. Yeah, I'd love
Well,
it.
yeah, I think that early entrepreneurs, full stop, but especially in e-commerce, they so myopically focus on KPIs and CLVs and AOVs and repurchase rates and CAC, and they worry about so many things. But the thing that I always try to communicate in my content and everywhere else is that your business will never outgrow you, meaning that you have got to figure out a way to become a better human, to become a better business person. And for me, that's mostly been travel, has been my biggest education of my lifetime. Some people, they need to read business books. Some people, they need to go and be mentored. Some people, but the upshot of this is that your business will never outgrow you, and you will have to figure out a way to systematically continue to improve as a person and an entrepreneur if you want your business to continue to grow. And you have to, it's different for everybody of how they continue to improve and the best way for them. For some, it's listening to podcasts. For some, it's
Right.
there's a million different ways. But I
Find
think,
yours.
yeah, you got to find that for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your business will reach a logical cap of where you are in your growth cycle as a human, and you will be the ultimate ceiling of where your business can go until you continue to grow.
Love it. Awesome.
You're a legend. I really appreciate your time. I
So
know
good.
we have a hard stop now.
Yeah.
Super appreciate your time, and I cannot wait to speak to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you again.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.